Oh man.
We're not alone.
I don't know. What are we supposed to talk about during the Armageddon?
I don't know. What deity do you follow?
Well,
Or does that fall under things you're not supposed to talk about?
no, I think to be safe, you follow them all. I do
see,
that at work
I see.
too because, I tell them, hey, I've got to take off Christmas and Easter, of course, but I've also got to take off Hanukkah and Ramadan and Rumspringa, and I got to take
I don't know if
off.
that was exactly a holiday. That's like what would that'd be like a baptism in a religion.
Well, still,
Yeah. They don't know that.
I mean, here's the way I look at it. If I can,
Festivus. Don't forget Festivus.
Festivus.
Yep.
If I can figure out every single day for the Museum of Off-Road Adventure is something that happened in the history of
Something.
off-road vehicles, then surely I can figure out that,
Makes sense, yeah. Maximize your time usage.
I just got an idea, maybe not an entire episode, but I got an idea of something we could talk about in a second.
It's time to hit the trail, lock in those hubs, and throw it into low range. Because you are listening to Wheelin' with Keith and Johnny Orange, broadcasting from the Thin Line Off-Road Studio. They're here to talk about 4x4s, trucks, and everything to do with enjoying the great outdoors. Buckle up. Here's your hosts, Keith and Johnny Orange.
So the other day, I'm sitting there and I'm doing some research for our This Day in Off-Road History for the museum.
So sitting on the can on your phone, got it?
Sure, exactly. And I found out something that I never realized before. And it was
The
just
screwdriver wrench thing?
no, not the screwdriver wrench thing that you showed me earlier.
No, that was today, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Carrying on.
March 27th,
Okay.
1952.
Okay. Good year.
It wasn't a decent day though, because on that day, the world lost both Jujiro Matsuda and Kichiro Toyota.
Oh.
The founder of Toyota.
Toyota goes that far back?
Toyota goes back to the 30s.
Wow.
So the founder of Toyota and the founder of Mazda, both Japanese automotive, massive giants here, both passed away on the exact same day in Japan in 1952. Unrelated. It wasn't like they were in a car crash together or something like that. They just unrelated. Matsuda passed away of old age. I couldn't actually figure out what the cause of death was for Toyota. He was actually kind of young. He was in his 50s. But kind of an odd deal there, But no, I thought that was just one of those weird things. I thought it'd be really good for Wheels in the Woods for one of our trivia one of our trivia questions.
Note to those of you listening who are going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. You do you just say we do multiple choice or whatever, but we just say which founders of which two Japanese companies both passed away March 27th, 1952.
Keep going. I'm going to look some up. Somebody sent me some comments about our last episode I forgot to read.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, bring them up. That'd be awesome.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, no, I was sitting there and I was working on those and just finding out some interesting things. This Day in Off-Road History has been a very popular thing that we've done. And it's actually been booming in the last week or so, even more so.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because people are more at home, of course. But, with all the news out there, of course, about the COVID-19 and everything like that, people might appreciate, these historical things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now is a good opportunity to, read all that stuff you've been wanting to learn about.
Yeah.
And, get out there, work on your rig. You got time.
Well, that's true, too. You can
Note
go...
to self, get to garage.
Yeah, for sure. I worked on Project Excursion this week, too, so...
I don't think I worked on anything, really.
You might actually get a kick out of this, or I don't know if you get a kick or you're going to be a little upset, but I'm
upset. What?
So
What'd you do?
I'm just going to tell you what happened here, the whole thing. So shout out to River's Edge Wash and Lube here in Marine City, Michigan. John Freeman, I think he might be a listener occasionally.
Hello, sir. If so.
He pretty much runs the place. He's not the owner. I don't know the owner's name, but he's pretty much the guy who runs the place all the time. They have shut down because of everything's going on here, temporarily, hopefully. But they're the ones that always take Project Excursion and do my oil change. Remember, I've talked on the show before about how it's cheaper for me to go there to get an oil change than it is to do it myself.
Yeah, most places won't touch anything I've got.
Well,
nobody knows where anything is.
Well, there's that too, right? And
that's okay.
So this is kind of the problem I had. So I'm way overdue for an oil change.
Same.
I know I need an oil change. I'm like, I got the time off. I'm laid off now. Let me go see. Go get the stuff for it or whatever. So I drive down to Algonac, town I grew up in, Bracket Auto Parts. We've talked about Matt at Brackets before. I know he's a listener. Shout out, Matt.
Hello again, sir.
And so I needed to get some other automotive supplies, but right next, down the road, whatever, from him is an oil change place. And I go in and, the guy, I pull in, I said, well, how much? I just want the oil and filter changed, and, the guy's like $177. And I said, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the most expensive.
Is that like a buy one get one free coupon with that or something?
I don't know. It did not include a grease job. It didn't include anything as far as I know. So I went over to Matt's and I went into Brackets. I'm like, I'm going to get everything myself, So I go in, I happen to walk in the door, and as I'm walking in the door, there's another guy at the counter there. And Matt just makes a joke, and he sees me walking in the door, and he goes, well, we're only selling oil and filters today because of the social distancing. And perfect. That's what I need. I need an oil and filter for Project Excursion. So he kind of laughs. Well, then the guy at the counter, right there, we're in this small town auto parts store, looks over at me. He looks over out the window, and he goes, is that a diesel excursion? I said, yeah. And he goes, I find oil's cheapest at Walmart. And I'm thinking, the guy's maybe he's not lying, but to say that at the counter in front
that's not cool.
I mean, that's pretty tacky. So I just looked at him and I said, man, in this time, there's nothing wrong with Walmart, but in this time, I'm going to shop local. Yeah. I'm going to support local. And he kind of gave me a dirty look, and not Matt, the other guy,
The phrase I would use, I can't say, so.
Well, I will tell you off air the phrase Matt said.
Oh, I want to know this, because it's probably what I would have said.
And so, then the guy's sitting there, and, I will tell you this. The guy's sitting there, and he's trying to get some part for, I don't know what, but, Matt says, hey, man, I can get this for you tomorrow. And the guy's like, I'm going to go see if I can find it somewhere else. And Matt, after he walked out the door, Matt looks at me and he goes, I really had to bite my tongue. I almost told him to go look at Walmart for it. So
nice.
I was like, but no, so he ended up getting me, and if anybody listens and they're local, I don't know how long his sale's going, but, I said, hey, I need 1540. And he goes, you know what? I think the CarQuest brand 1540 is on sale right now. And I says, oh, okay. And so he ended up, it was, I don't know the exact prices, but I know that I got out the door with 5 gallons of oil because the Excursion takes 4. And I just bought a 5-gallon bucket, 5 gallons of oil, and a whole box full of other garage supplies I needed, carb cleaner and some diesel fuel treatment and all sorts of stuff for $90, everything out the door.
Dude.
Filter for the Excursion. The oil was dirt cheap.
How long's the sale going?
I don't know, man.
I wonder how late they're open. I need oil.
Matt's a supporter of the museum. He's been down to the museum before.
I've got
and everything.
A filter. I really just need to change the filter. I'm topping oil so frequently.
I'm telling you.
I really got to fix that.
Bracket Auto Parts, Brackett. There's 2 T's in it.
I'll have to give him a call.
In Algonac, Michigan. Go down there. Great guy. And
yeah.
I've been going in there for over 30 years now. And, and I know that the big box store is around the corner from my house. I know I could go there. But I'm laid off. I got the time. Yeah. And my opinion is, in this time of need, support the small businesses first. Big corporations, they can probably handle themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
These small businesses, I'm going to go down, and I did that. So I needed those supplies, and that's what I did.
I did a little bit of that this week myself.
And did you?
Yeah, I went to the scrapyard, wandered around there for a couple hours, So as you know, and I think some of you guys listening and following, I do a lot of outdoor cooking and cooking. All I use is cast iron, and I love the old vintage and antique cast iron, and I'll hunt the scrapyard every now and then, see what I can find. And in about 2 hours wandering, I found 3 broken ones, some of the cheap Chinese Taiwan import junk cast iron.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pronounced China.
Whatever.
Sorry, that's a bad joke.
Good. Yeah, that one went right over my head.
Okay, yeah.
Around 2 hours later, I found one that was just pitted. I mean, it looked terrible. Mm-hmm. And normally that particular yard sells by the pound on that. So I went in and says, I found one. He says, $5. Like, oof. Especially for the condition. I mean, this thing was a solid ball of rust. But I wandered around for 2 hours. I wanted something to do in the next 3 weeks because after that day they were closed for 3 weeks, so I can't go back. Mm-hmm. So I got one. I got it for $5.
Yeah, there you go.
And got home. I actually wire wheeled it at my buddy's house. I seasoned it up. It's pretty badly pitted, but
what season did you use?
Canola. Canola comes in the big gallon shaker container.
I'd use Mrs. Bay's or something like that. It'd be
it's a little sticky though when you start cooking stuff in it. It kind of burns a little more.
Yeah, man.
No, I got that. I thought, I've been going through all my old pans. This one actually dated its early Lodge to about the 40s.
Lodge was around that long?
Lodge came around the 20s or 30s, I believe.
Oh, no kidding.
And the guy who actually founded it started at another company called Blacklock.
Yeah.
And that was the premier, 1800s, early 1900s cast iron was Blacklock.
Yeah.
And to date, there are no known examples of actually marked Blacklock, as far as I'm understanding it. It just, so many of the markings and their casting marks and everything were either not documented, so there's no way to prove it was them, or it gets rolled into some of the early Lodge stuff.
This, my mind just started reeling backwards, in my ADD. I'm thinking about things, and I'm thinking about your cast iron here. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about how long we're going to be laid off. And let me pause for a second. Our YouTube listeners are probably going to see John and I are sitting, we're 4 feet away from each other or whatever. Mm-hmm. You might be like, oh, social distancing. Well, John and I have spent so much time together over all of these years, and all the time we're basically family. And so anything John caught last week or the week before, I've got, and vice versa. So
probably got a better chance of getting something from all the midgets that run around here.
Yeah, there's that too. But I was thinking, I'm thinking about if we're laid off long enough here. My place up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Mm-hmm. I do have another place up there, and you're allowed to travel currently between your residences.
Yep.
That place up there, I've really needed. I was 20 miles back in the bush.
Nice.
From the nearest. It's by Munising, Michigan. You know where that is.
Oh, yeah. I got a buddy who lives up there.
And
I think he's up there. I don't know. He's in him something. No, but there's him too. I forgot about him.
So we're way back in the middle of nowhere. Obviously, that's perfect social distancing unless you get coughed on by a deer or something. And
you're getting TB then.
I told Stephanie that earlier today. I told her that. But anyways, I got thinking about it. Underneath my counter there at my cabin up there, I have got a bunch of old cast iron stuff, but it's all rusty, and some of it's like it's not seasoned or anything like that. Maybe you should come up and check it out, see if there's anything you want for your collection or mess with it.
You got a waffle maker, I'll buy it on site. I want one of those.
I think I do. I mean, obviously I don't want to get rid of all of it, but
I understand.
Maybe you can help with some of it. We could take a trip up there and just check on the cabin for a couple days or something.
Yeah, I'm for it. I know I've never been to your place up there.
No,
I don't think I've even been. I've been through Munising once or twice. I think.
All right.
If I was, it was a long time ago though.
Well, rambling on here a little bit, but we're just kind of talking about what people have been up to. You've been up to your cast iron. I'm kind of getting Project Excursion.
Actually, I dug all the rest of my cast iron out too that I've been hiding all over the place. Found one of the ones in my Jeep. Same thing, dates back to the 30s. And I've just had that in my Jeep for cooking, bonfires and stuff for years.
Nice.
So I've got, I have one pan in my basement that came from my dad's mom. So my grandma on his side, I never met her. But I've got one of her cast iron pans.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then I cook with all the others.
Cool.
So...
Why don't we take a quick break, buddy, and then when we come back, I think we got some more 4x4 stuff to talk about.
You mean get to 4x4?
Get to, yeah, probably get to it.
You talk the excursion.
Sure.
We got that. See you in a minute.
Hey, it sounds like it's time to swap out that old engine for something better, John.
Yeah, man, but I have so much into my trans and transfer case set up already. I don't want to change those too.
Sounds like you need to call Quick Draw Brand Adapters. They specialize in conversion bell housings for nearly all diesel and gasoline engines, including the new 2.8R Cummins.
You know, I like weird engines. I want something different.
Then you definitely need to visit QuickDrawBrand.com today. They have those hard-to-find parts. They also have used diesel engines available. You can call them at 513-446-9654.
Cool, I'll do that. See what they have. Thanks.
So in this time of everything shutting down and, people staying at home, unfortunately, at least in the state of Michigan, and of course probably nationwide, museums are shutting down temporarily. Yeah. The MORA is currently not open to the public. Mm-hmm. That's actually part of. It's the first time it hasn't been open to the public since we opened.
Yeah,
and. That is, our state shutdown says specifically
we can't even
museums.
Do by appointment with that, can we?
No, it says museums can't be open. But as you know, and I'd like to do a little bit of, kind of bragging of what we've been doing. The museum, what we decided to do at the museum was to try to help our first responders here. Mm-hmm. And this last week we had 2 supply drives for our nurses and our first responders. Mm-hmm. The museum was open last Saturday, but then, of course, the order came that we had to close. And so then Wednesday, again, we did a supply drive, but we were just at the front door there, and we didn't have...
No access.
Yeah, no access. Yeah. But what we did was we were asking for masks and gowns and booties and anything medical supplies. The first one we did was a mask drive, and then after that we did was full medical supplies drive. The first drive there, the mayor pro tem, which is basically like the vice mayor of Algonac, Michigan, came down with 151 masks to donate to area hospitals. And we have a network of nurses that we're working with through the Museum of Off-Road Adventure.
Nice.
That we were able to turn those over to the very next day.
Nice.
And, I mean, how awesome is that we've been able to do that?
So I know I've got a few. I mentioned to you earlier, I've got a few at home. I'll get some contact info and run them out to them for.
Perfect. So. If you're a listener, I mean, this is a worldwide problem right now. And, we're not trying to get too political or anything like that, but what shocked myself and some of the other museum, and you're one of them, our museum, board and staff here, was when we found out through one of our museum board members is a nurse, and then we have a friend that has been to the museum multiple times. Yeah. And she came and said, hey, we've gotten to the point at the hospitals where we're being recommended to tape coffee filters to our faces because we are out of supplies.
That's crazy.
And so something that I talked about on a lot of our Facebook Live videos was that a lot of our automotive hobbyists, people that have things in their garage, or even woodworkers, they have dust masks and face shields and all sorts of things that can be useful to our first responders.
Yeah.
Get them to your local nurses. Get them to your local hospitals. They're at the point now where one of our local hospitals that 4 days ago said they were never going to accept anything homemade is now asking for homemade masks. Jeez. Cloth masks.
Have you seen these ones that are 3D printing them?
Yeah, unfortunately, Preston has a 3D printer, but he looked at the file. The bed on his 3D printer is just a little too small. So he can't. He was going to. But that's really cool, too, that people are doing that.
Split that in half and then attach it.
You'd have to glue it or something. There's no way. I don't know if that would work or not, but...
Yeah, we can talk later on that. There's ways you can heat it and just do it that way.
True.
Or a plastic welder or something. Anyways.
But I guess I want to... Did I mention his name? The Mayor Pro Tem, Rocky Gillis?
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, okay. If I didn't, the Mayor Pro Tem of Algonac, his name is Rocky Gillis, and like I said, 151 masks.
That's awesome.
That I talked to one of the nurses that is part of our network that we got these to, one mask used sparingly can be used for up to 5 days.
Oh.
One mask can be 5 days of protection for one of our nurses, first line responders here.
Yeah.
I mean, 151, that's a lot of protection.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome. So, Rocky Gillis, awesome person. I've known him for years because he's actually a shirt sleeve kind of relative of mine. I mean, nice. I guess he would be. He's my brother's sister's nephew kind of thing. So, anyway, here's the deal.
Wouldn't that be your nephew then?
Well,
no, that'd be your.
I will never call him this, but my brother, as you know, has a different mother. We've never done the half thing.
I actually did not know that.
Okay. He still calls me exactly. Yeah. We've always been brother and sister,
Yeah, I never would have.
Brothers and my sister same way. But Rocky and I used to joke back in high school, because we went to high school together, that he's my half-step nephew-in-law. Because we kind of figured it out that way. But in reality, we have not really relation, but same family.
That's cool.
And he said he saw on Facebook, he said he had all these supplies from a relative that had been sickly at one time that's now passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but he said he saw on Facebook that night that the museum was doing that. He said he'd wanted to come to the museum anyways. He had been meaning to check it out. And he was like, boom, I know what I'm doing with this stuff.
You know what? This might be a dumb question. Can they use vinyl gloves?
Right now they're asking for nitrile.
Okay.
But vinyl very well could be something when they run out of nitrile. If they run out of nitrile.
I've got some size smalls, I think.
We can
ask gardening.
We can ask our contacts. Yeah, absolutely.
Remember to do that as soon as we get off here.
So it's just a really cool thing.
Absolutely.
But speaking of that social media, I wish that we could there's a lot of museums out there that are doing like walkthroughs of their museums online. Unfortunately, our museum is basically a big Faraday cage.
Yep.
As soon as it's in a metal Quonset hut, so as soon as you walk in, no cell service, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. Which is kind of nice because people can actually pay attention to the museum.
I do love that aspect about it. Yeah, it's like you're there. I mean, you can't do anything else, but you're not there to do anything else.
You're paying attention to the museum.
You're interacting with the people.
Exactly.
Which is not good right now. But
exactly. But that was something I wanted to mention before I get off onto the social media aspect of it. During those drives, we did have some businesses that donated things. Now, Thin Line Off-Road, I own. What I did was, if you brought at least one thing, didn't matter what you brought a mask, brought whatever, I gave you a t-shirt. Whenever supporting your first responders as a thank you.
So for every mask I bring, I get a t-shirt?
We do it within reason.
Come on.
T-shirts. Originally we did, if you did one mask, you got a t-shirt. If you did 5, you got a hoodie. Foxfire Fixin's Restaurant, if you donated at least 10, you got a $25 gift certificate. Ooh. And if you did a 20 or more, Codet's True Value Hardware does, and they still this offer's still out there for now. If you do 20 or more, they're going to give a approximately $200 DeWalt quarter sheet not DeWalt, Milwaukee quarter sheet palm sander.
Nice.
So and that's still up for grabs as of this recording.
Oh,
but
cool.
So that was awesome. These local businesses that were willing to step up and donate some things as a thank you to the people donating these supplies.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But back to our social media thing, we're doing our best to do our daily updates and things like that. And even like Twitter now, all of a sudden the American Alliance of Museums was retweeting stuff that we were doing for the mask drive, and they were were saying, hey, support these guys. And so that was really cool.
I missed that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. So,
well, on the note of social media, kind of changing subjects a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to let you get into that. Yeah. Sorry, it was a long story on our social media. But,
so a friend of mine, Michael Vinoy, he said he just finished the bugout episode, and his vehicle of choice would be like an older Deuce and a half or Humvee.
Okay.
And then...
personally, I'd probably go Deuce and a half over the Humvee in that situation.
I think I would agree. It just seems like it would last a little bit longer.
Yeah,
I know they're not as terrible fuel mileage as you would expect.
We just did a This Day in Off-Road History about the Humvees, and a whole bunch of military people chimed in about how they're not a fan.
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah.
I still want one day just because they're cool.
Yeah.
But I love the one of how to acquire a Humvee. Open door, flip this switch, wait till light goes off, flip it. Now you know in a Humvee.
It's pretty much any military vehicle, buddy.
I know, I love it.
But anyways, Michael Vinoy, what did he say?
Yep, finish the episode. So we won't go into this whole thing for obvious reasons. So his question...
Oh, was he saying how sexy I am?
No. No.
All right.
So his idea was about ideal bug-out guns.
Bug-out guns?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, so he's, keep in mind multi-use, parts repair availability, caliber availability.
Sure.
And then he had a few suggestions here. So, thinking like a 3-gun or 4-gun sort of combination. I don't know if we want to get into that whole thing right now.
No, go ahead. What the heck? What was the suggestion?
Right, so I'll read you his. Let me go back into it here.
Let me guess.
Okay.
I have not, I swear I've not read this. I would say something 9mm, something 45 ACP.
There's not a 45 on this
There's
list.
not a 45.
Nope.
Maybe a Winchester 30-30.
Nope.
Ooh, wow.
I don't know the caliber on that one, so that could be.
I mean, you're not talking like the 223 for the AR-15s and stuff, are you?
Well, so he's kind of generalizing on a couple of these. So a decent but good quality, stock-ish AR-15. Glock 19, which I don't know what caliber that is. That I think is a 9.
I could be wrong, but I think you can get the Glock 19 in multiple calibers.
Oh, okay.
No? Is it just 9? Producer Andrew's shaking his head over there.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, Glock 19 might just be a 9mm.
Yeah. A Ruger 1022 takedown.
Okay.
A 12 gauge. He said Shockwave or similar, like an SBS 500 or like a Remington 870.
Okay. Oh, that's shotgun?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
So I would absolutely agree with the 870.
Yeah.
The 12 gauge pump. I think you can get those in 20. But again, you're talking, more common availability for ammo and parts. It's a rugged, reliable gun.
Yeah, absolutely. My brother has an 870.
Yes.
That was my grandfather's. They're fantastic guns.
So 12 gauge 870. I 100% agree with the 22. A 22 of some sort. For the simple fact, you can hunt with it. It's not the best self-defense weapon, of course.
Yeah.
But you can hunt, small game with that. You can carry a ton of ammo for that, and it doesn't weigh a ton. I mean, that's huge.
You know what? Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
Let's take a quick break. And afterwards, I want to talk about one gun in particular, and I got some stories about that one gun.
Okay.
And something that I think actually, in my opinion, might be a decent bug-out gun.
I like it. I've got one as well I can suggest.
All right.
So, see you in a minute.
Ah, spring. It means so many things. Birds, flowers, warmer temperatures, and let's not forget, bugs! Don't let pesky bugs take over your home. Call ABC Home and Commercial Services. They have the solution for your spiders, wasps, box elder bugs, Asian lady beetles, cluster flies, and more. ABC Home and Commercial Services, the best in pests. Call 810-794-5678.
That was quick.
What was quick?
Quick break.
Oh, did you not have time to do what you needed to do?
No, man, I had to hit the can. I was going to be a few minutes.
Oh, what? Do you want to take another break?
No, it's okay. All right. I'm kidding.
I did not expect to get on guns or rifles or anything like that in this episode. But with that being said, one that I want to throw out there that I already said. Now, this is my own opinion here. I think the old cowboy-style Winchester 94 30-30 rifle.
Amazing gun.
I haven't had the best of luck, but
take it off your hands if you don't want it.
No. I think that's a pretty good bug-out gun, and here's a couple of reasons that I have for this. One, it's a super simple, very reliable, very durable gun.
Yes.
You can throw it in the dirt, you can whatever with it, and it's probably still going to fire. It's extremely lightweight for a rifle.
Yeah.
You pick it up, and I think they're only about, 2.5 feet long. They're not very long. They're maybe 28 inches. I don't know. No, that'd be
really short.
Yeah, I don't know. I can measure mine. I don't know. But They're not very long. They're very lightweight. You can carry them all day under your hand if you're walking through the brush up in the, you're hunting. And I'm not a big hunter, but, I've got one and walk through.
In the apocalypse, everyone is.
Yeah, well, there's that. The round for them, though, from what I understand, and maybe you can correct me because you probably know a little bit more about ballistics and rounds, but from what I understand with the 30-30, that particular round, it's got a lot of powder behind it, a lot of power, but you can use it to knock down something, say, like a deer.
Oh, yeah.
But that same round, believe it or not, I've heard people say that you can hunt small game with it. Because the velocity and the size of the smaller bullet that it has will punch a hole through small game without expanding rapidly. And you can actually hunt. I've talked to people that have hunted partridge and squirrel and stuff with 30-30s, and they say they really don't do a lot of damage because it doesn't have time to expand. It passes through.
Your only issue there, one, expense of it for what you're getting out of it.
I'll give you that. The rounds are not cheap.
SHTF, scenario is a different ballgame.
Sure.
The other, it's still a rifle round. It's still got a lot of power behind it, so you have to be more careful of your, what's beyond your target. A deer, chances, here to that wall of hitting a deer to that close is unlikely.
Okay.
Small game, you're going to have to be a lot closer. So, the wasted energy, so to speak, is the round's going to keep going.
Okay.
So that'd be the only disadvantage to it. Again, SHTF scenario, you can make some exceptions. Yeah. But no, they're phenomenal rifles.
Well, so I told you that I haven't had the best luck, and there's nothing wrong with my Winchester 30-30. I do have one of the ones that was made in the 70s after Winchester was taken over by the Japanese manufacturer. It's not an American gun anymore. I didn't know that when my grandfather gave it to me years ago. He had bought it from his brother, one of those things.
Yeah.
And but anyways, beautiful gun, beautiful condition. Yeah. And it was the first deer that I ever shot at and missed was with that. We were out hunting. We were at his favorite place. We were actually where we spread his ashes a couple of years, or last year. Was
that last year?
Yeah, we spread Grandpa's ashes. And so, I'm this nervous, probably 14 or 15-year-old kid at the time. And I'm out there, and we had been sitting out, and it's freezing cold. Yeah. And, I've never, even from then, never been that much into hunting. I did it because Grandpa was into it. But we're sitting out there. We're all day long. We're just waiting. We saw a couple way off in the distance, way too far to ever shoot.
Yeah.
We are literally getting to the end of the day. Grandpa's like, well, we should probably start packing it up, blah, blah, blah. And we stand up and we turn around because we had this little bench that we had set like a rustic blind out in the woods. We stand up and we turn around and there is this little spike.
Okay.
He's got these little maybe 6-inch spikes coming out of the top of his head. I don't even think there was any forks on him. He might have been a 3 or 4 point tops. Not a big buck. And he is going right along where my grandpa had put some of that doe estrus, the doe urine. And he's going right along this trail where my grandpa had done. He's got his nose right to the ground like a dog.
Nice.
He's going at it. And so my grandpa's like, oh, Keith, go ahead. I says, all right. So, I get mine. I'm standing there and I'm probably shaking. And I just, I boom. And that thing just runs off. And, my grandpa thought maybe I hit it, but we never found a trace of anything. And so years later, now I probably only go hunting maybe every 3 to 4 years. Not a big avid hunter, like I said. Years later, my daughter, or my ex-wife is pregnant with my daughter. I was planning on hunting that year. My ex-wife says to me, when she was my wife, obviously, and she says, I don't really want you going all the way to the UP. There's no cell phone signal, blah, blah, blah. Well, a good buddy of mine called me up and he said, hey, he says, I've got an open spot about 3 hours north of here. He says, why don't you come on up and hunt with us? And so I asked her, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. She goes, you got cell phone reception there. If something happens, you can be down, 3 hours. You can drop everything, go. I said, okay, cool. So I drive up, and opening morning, we go out, sitting there, calm, nice day. Doe comes walking through right about 10 o'clock or so. We had actually agreed, there was 3 of us that were hunting, and we had agreed that we were going to all go back to the cabin that they had there, which was more of a house, but back to the cabin. And we were going to have breakfast at, I think it was like 10:30 or something.
Okay.
And so it's like 10 o'clock, a little after 10 o'clock, and I'm sitting there, and I'm at the side of a, I guess you'd call it like kind of a ridge, and my buddy is hunting the other side of the ridge, and he is physically probably only 75 feet from me, but there's no way I could get to him because there's dirt and rocks between us, you know. And so I'm sitting on the other side of the ridge. So I'm sitting there, and a little after 10 o'clock, and I'm kind of like, oh, well, you know, there's nothing out here this morning, blah, blah, blah. And I hear, and I'm like, hear a little whistle. And I'm like, what the hell? And all of a sudden, this doe comes walking through. So he was warning me because he was whistling from the over the that a doe was coming my way. So this little doe comes through, and she's just kind of looking, and she sniffs, and she's looking at, and she comes over and eats a little bit from my bait pile, and then squats and pisses right on my bait pile. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Not cool.
Yeah, so then she takes off, and I'm like, okay, well, that was interesting. Well, so then, you know, I don't know, 10 minutes go by, nothing. And, you know, it's getting on to our 10:30 breakfast or whatever time we had agreed on. And so I stand up and I set my Winchester 30-30 right up there against the tree, and I had a little backpack with some goodies on and stuff, and you know, some supplies, and I'm putting it on, and all of a sudden I just see something out of the corner of my eye, and this buck comes walking through, and he is got probably one of the most interesting looking racks. He's a good 8-point buck. I could count the points on him. 8-point buck.
Oops.
But yeah, there you go. 8-point buck. But he had a fairly narrow rack on him, but the base of the rack, I mean, was like the size of a Coke can.
Jeez.
Huge. I mean, he just had this narrow rack with these huge horns.
Yeah.
You know, just solid, or antlers,
Nice.
not horns, but solid. And he was a big buck, too. And I'm like, man, that's a nice looking deer. So, you know, I get my Winchester, and, you know, this time I kind of like level up, and I'm looking, and I'm like, all right. And I'm all calm, and he's not that far away. He's like maybe 70 feet from me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he comes, and he's sniffing the bait pile, and I don't have a scope or anything on this gun. This is old-fashioned iron sights, you know. And so I calm, deep breath, you know, all right, boom, you know, and he just runs away. I go, man, that did not act like a deer that just got shot. So my buddy all of a sudden comes running around. He's like, you got him. And I'm like, what do you mean? I says, you saw him? And he goes, yeah, so I was whistling. And I says, I thought you were whistling because of the doe. And he goes, what doe? He goes, no, there was a buck milling around out here. He must have been on the trail of the doe, you know?
Yeah.
And so I says, man, I don't know. He did. And I said right to him, I says, he's close. I says, but sure didn't act like a deer that just got shot.
Yeah.
And so he says to me, he's like, man, no, you had to have gotten him. You had to have gotten him. We look over there. There's no blood. There's no fur. There's no nothing. And so we start walking around all afternoon in the immediate area, and we do not find a trace of anything.
Bummer.
So we come walking back, and him and his dad, the other two guys I was hunting with, they're kind of ribbing me. They're like, oh, buck fever and blah, 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 and this and that, you know, and, you know, you jumped or whatever. I'm like, man, I am not that bad of a shot. I'm like, I'm not any sharpshooter by any means, but I'm like, I'm not that bad of a shot. And we come back, and they're like, well, where was he? I'm like, he's right here. I says, he's right by the edge of the bait pile, blah, blah. So I found an old rusty coffee can, and I set it on a stick, and I put it right there. And I said, watch this. I said, I can shoot that, no problem. So I go back to my blind, and I go, boom, and nothing. And my buddy goes, do that again. Boom. I'm pretty sure that hit the dirt like 10 feet before the stick. And I go, no. And he goes, aim like 5 feet high. And I'm like, what? He says, yeah, aim like 5 feet high. So I aim up, and I boom. And I end up shooting the base of the stick. And he's like, dude, what's going on? So he comes over, and he's like, there's something screwed up. You bent your barrel or something. I'm like, there's no way I bent the barrel on this thing, you know? And he's looking at it, and he goes, hey, where's your sight block? And I says, what? He goes, you know, little block. It's a little pair of little stairs on the spring-loaded sight in the back.
Yeah.
It's just missing. I had knocked it on something while walking out there, and it's just missing. So I shot into the ground.
That sucks.
Yeah. or in the air, or I don't know, whatever it would have been. But yeah,
no, the ground. It was the ground.
Yeah,
Definitely the ground.
Definitely ground. But
well, you finished. I gotta.
No, that was it. So my luck with that Winchester's not been very good over the years.
So I have my grandpa's 30-06 hunting rifle.
Good rifle. Rifle.
I would suggest I would have that at the top of my list, rifle wise.
Okay.
The ammo's a little heavier, but you've got distance, you've got accuracy. If you need a distance for self-defense, you've got it. You can hunt damn near anything with it. But
those rounds are pretty much available anywhere in Michigan, at least.
That's the biggest thing, ammo availability.
Yeah.
And so this, like I said, it was my grandpa's rifle. And there's some relevance to this story. So he was out west hunting. I think it was Wyoming.
Okay.
And I don't know if anybody else in the family even knows this story. I always talked to him and learned about why he had these guns or certain things that he had. And he was a doctor. He used to go hunting with these doctors, usually once a year, every other year out west.
Oh, okay. Same grandpa that owned the old Jeep. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was getting to that. And he was telling me this story. They're out there one day, and he's a doctor. Mm-hmm. If it's a long distance shot, so now it might not be as acceptable to do this, but if it's that distance of a shot, you have a larger margin of error. So his thing is, aim for the head. If you miss, you're not going to hurt it.
Okay.
That was kind of his reasoning back then.
Yeah, okay.
So
that my grandpa used to do too, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't remember the distance he said the gun was sighted in for, but it was a 200-yard shot. And he's watching this thing. So he lines up, and he takes the shot. And the deer puts his head back down to feed, and then it fell over. And when he got there, he couldn't find the hit.
But the deer's still there?
Yeah, the deer was there. It was dead. And
there's no hole in the deer.
Oh, he had to study it, but he found it.
Okay.
And for anybody listening, this might be a little more detailed than most people would care to hear, so forewarning. He found the hole. It went right at the base of the skull and just severed the spine right at the base of the skull.
That's how my grandpa used to try to shoot him too. Yeah.
And
years ago.
It just dropped it.
Yeah.
And it was that trip. Mind you, that had to be. Well, it was whenever JFK was around. So 70s?
60s. He
60s.
was assassinated, I think, in 63, if I remember right.
So this would have been
early 60s.
63 or earlier.
Yeah.
So think about, everybody now, high-powered rifles, long distances. All these guys have these high-powered rifles at the airport and the plane. They all flew planes. They went out there. Well, JFK happened to land in that same airport. I don't remember if it was the day they got there or the day they left.
Okay.
There were news cameras out there, and my grandpa got to meet him and shake his hand. And he got a copy of the 8mm film, black and white back then, of him meeting and shaking his hand.
Oh, very cool.
And I actually have that.
That's really cool.
And I've looked online before for that day, and I've found 2 other film clips from different news stations.
Uh-huh.
None of them are this angle. So this is a totally different angle to that meeting that nobody else has.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And my grandpa's one, I highly credit him. It was between he and my dad. But my first Jeep ride was with my grandpa, 86 Grand Wagoneer. Mm-hmm. And, that kind of got me down the path to where I am today in terms of Jeeps. A large part of love of the outdoors. He had the farm that's across the river from my house, so we were always there every weekend in the summer. Shot my first gun over there, a little lever action 22.
Nice.
And, that snowballed into where we are here. Love of 4x4s, Jeeps especially.
Yeah.
And probably why I started liking guns so much.
And off-road shows that we don't talk about 4x4s or off-road stuff at all.
I mentioned Jeeps. You mentioned excursions.
Hey, hey, at least one thing I'd like to do before we close this out. Do you got anything else for this episode?
No, that's we could go all day.
What happened to the cup that I gave you?
It's right here.
And now you're drinking out of a kitty cup.
That's water, and it's orange.
Oh, all right. I would like to do something. This is episode 50. I never thought we'd get this far. Are we going to get anybody else to say anything?
I think maybe we have him do the closing. It's written down. You can read it.
What's up, y'all?
Oh, come on. Say it into the mic at least. Let's be real quiet and we'll have him do it again. Oh, come on.
Oh, man. So that was producer Andrew. He said he was going to speak on episode 50. But before you do your closing.
I still think that we had other qualifiers for that. We'll find out later.
I would like to cheer to episode 50.
Absolutely.
We're, that's a milestone.
Oh, we got to make the cheers and then we cheers.
Cheers. What do you mean make the cheers?
You say something and then you cheers.
Well, like I said, to episode 50 and to, 8,000 more.
To our grandfathers.
To our grandfathers.
For starting us down this path, and may we always continue and remember.
I like that.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right, Mr. Johnny Orange.
Well,
who, by the way, has far more, I just noticed this yesterday, far more followers online than I do. Go ahead and read your...
Well, if you guys do have any questions and comments about this or any of our other episodes, feel free to join our 4x4 Talk page on Facebook. Leave us a question or a comment. If anything you want to hear us go over, let us know. You can just find that searching 4x4 Talk on Facebook. A few quick questions, get you in there, and you can comment away. For more bonus content, be sure to check out our Patreon account. It's patreon.com/Wheelin Radio. Get you access to that, low as $2 a month. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button in the bottom of the video player. Make sure to hit subscribe so you see this and other new content as we release it out there. And as always, have a good one, and thanks for listening, everybody.